there, my name's Jill Tiny. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learnt an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Hello and welcome to Be Collaboration's podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. And today is a bit of a first for Collaboration Global. I'm really excited to welcome not only one of our members into our little podcast space here, but also one of our supporters. Nikola Howard. It's lovely to have both of you and Sue Plumtree here today. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
You're very welcome. Now, one of the things we do on a podcast is we explore the people. As the title suggests, Being Human, Hidden Depths is all about picking out the pieces. And you two have fascinated me for a long time because you've got a little collaboration going and I'm not even sure how it ever started. So can you tell us the story of how you actually met and how you got together with your purpose and your mission in life? I'll go to Sue first. How did you two meet?
Well, actually, our third lady in our Love Self Plus, called Joanne Reynolds, a little treasure of her own. She introduced me to Nikola. She felt that we should connect. And we really, really hit it off. I looked up to Nikola. I don't anymore now, but I did look up to Nikola. Oh. And we really got on because we have a similar passion where she comes from health and well-being and I come from relationships, but there is an overarching passion which is enabling women to feel great about themselves inside and out. We just come from different angles.
Yeah, it's definitely you. Joanne is one of those people that she's one of those natural connectors. She just sees, oh yeah, that person would be really good with that person. And so she just said, you need to talk to each other. So that's how we met. And when we, as Sue said, when we started to talk, we discovered there was a whole bunch of, we think the same ways about the same things. We've had similar-ish times with relationships. Where I work, it's all about building your internal relationship with yourself to improve your outlook, to improve the way you eat, the way you think about things. And Sue's look is we improve yourself so that you improve your external relationships. And it was like, well, yeah, actually, us working together really makes a lot of sense. And for me as well, it allows me to bust out some of the stuff I don't get to bust out when I'm talking about health and wellness and food and all that. It allows me to spread my wings sideways, as it were.
Yes. Yes, that's lovely. And I'm glad you said about Joanne Reynolds because I've always said that a collaboration has to have three people, otherwise it's just a partnership. So it's good to see that you had that third leg to your stool, that sort of magic ingredient that kind of sparked and ignited. We talk about having the visionary, the catalyst and the driver. And it sounds like she was your catalyst, that she sparked it all off and got it going, which is absolutely lovely. Going back to what you were saying there, Nicola, about you're able to branch out a little bit because you've met Sue and you've gone, well, I do this thing and Sue does that thing, and you've kind of merged it together. Over the years, I think, dare I say, the older we get, we realise that all of our problems, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, work problems, finance problems, la-di-da-di-da, we all have them, kind of have a common thread along the way, don't they? So what things are you able to do now with your clients, having worked with Sue, that maybe you didn't do before?
Interesting question. I think in terms of, because it's all about niche, when you're talking to allow you to find people to serve and allow people to find you to serve them, you have to have the angle. You have to have one of my coaches calls it the door on the football stadium that is your brain. because everybody has all the things, and it's like where I've helped my premier level clients individually, I've dealt with money issues, childhood trauma, or self-worth issues, because the food is the easy part. It really is. Changing your food is the easy part. It's changing your attitudes towards food, life, your relationships, and everything that is where the work is. So by working with Sue, it's effectively allowing me to bust out some of the stuff that's in the football stadium that I don't have on the door. So I have another angle that is, it's still me and it's still the same. And as I say, with Sue and I believe we work really well together, in the fact that we both have some form of body disability. We both have had failed relationships. We both have had self-worth issues. I was what I was in my youth. Sue was what she was in her youth. It was all manner of, yeah, we've got a lot here. We can do some real good here. And of course, then I can bring back to my sort of my personal clients, as it were, and my groups that are food focused. I can bring some of the techniques that Sue's taught me into that as well. And I think she's also taken some of the stuff that I've taught her through to what she does. So again, it's what is it? There's no such thing as a new idea. We all just riff on whatever's out there already.
Yeah. It's nothing new under the sun, is there? Yeah. I totally agree. It's really interesting. So for us in Collaboration Global, what I love is that I know a lot of stuff and my depth is so much. But when I talk to somebody who's a specialist in that and their depth is that much, I'm like, whoa, I didn't know how much I didn't know that I didn't actually know. you think you know so much, don't you? So it's so lovely when you do connect up with somebody else and you realize, like, oh, wow, they've done some work on this. They really know their stuff. Have you found the same then, Sue, when you first connected up with Nikola? Did you go, oh, hello, there's all this?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She introduced me to perspectives, terminology even, that expanded my own views on things. I mean, take a simple example, is about being selfish, which is a hot potato. Basically, that you can't do things for yourself because it would be selfish. And then I would describe it as being healthily selfish or unhealthy. But Nikola has another term, which is ethically selfish, which is so much bigger than my own perception of what it was. It's about taking responsibility and owning your issues, and looking after not only yourself, but also the people around you. And the way she described it kind of expanded it. And I think it's just brilliant. And I always ask her, I want to talk about it because I really got it.
This is it. It's like a kid in a sweet shop, isn't it? When you find something that you really love, it's like, oh, I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about your posts on LinkedIn or Facebook or wherever you happen to be posting. I read it and I can see myself in there. And I'm like, oh, either I used to be like that or, oh, I'm still like that. That's interesting. And it resonates because for so many people, it's damn true. And what I love as well is that there is a way out, and you point the way out. You point that sort of, don't forget, we're here if you want some help, but also you give little clues along the way. So I kind of know that you've been there and you've been through the mire and you've come out the other side and you're still going through stuff, because it's being human, isn't it? And which is the title of the podcast, Being Human with Hidden Depths. And that's what I love, that you've been there and you've experienced it, and it's okay, we'll come out the other end. But sometimes you need that hand to hold on to drag you out and get you there. So Sue, tell me your story. When did you first kind of cotton on that you had a purpose in this world and that you owned it and that you were going to do something about it?
Well, that, as you know, is a long process, but I started. This is really interesting because at the time of when I was first married, 37 years, let's put it mildly, it wasn't a barrel of laughs. Yeah. And it took me that long, with the help of my coach, by the way, to finally access the courage to leave. And the process for me was realizing that my marriage and everything I experienced, a treasure trove that I can use to share. And in fact, this will make you smile. I'm going to change the homepage of my website to say I was an expert in screwing up, and now I'm an expert, in building something special. But yeah, and I think that it makes a huge difference, because people screw up, and being faced with the experts can be intimidating, but we are not experts. We've been there, and we so feel for you because we know what it's like. And then that helps us connect with people at a different level.
And then presumably after the marriage and the coaching and everything, you kind of looked around and went, well, if I know this now, who can I go and tell? And you want to pay it forward and share it with as many people as possible.
Yeah, I tell people they don't have to wait 37 years. I've done it for them.
Perfect. Yes. Why you have to worry about going through that agony and that pain? I mean, I know many people that have divorced after sort of 30 odd years. And it is like this whole new world opens up to them. Not that I'm advocating going and getting divorced. That's not the solution to all your problems. Sometimes you can make the marriage better, but it's understanding who you are, isn't it, at the end of the day?
Yeah.
One of the observations I'd make about that statement is when marriage was designed, it wasn't designed to live as long as we now live.
That's true.
And I've always said I never want to get married, because I just don't want that level of contract in my life. It's a contract.
True. Yeah.
But I would be very pro it if you could renegotiate it, say, every 10 years, because a 10-year commitment is still a commitment.
That's true.
But it's that whole after you say you get to 20 or 30 years and it's like, I'm a different person now. I look at me at 30 and I look at me now at 51 tomorrow, as we record this.
Happy birthday for tomorrow.
And it's like, I don't recognize her. 29, 30-year-old me, totally different lady.
Yeah.
And as we grow and we develop this relationship with ourselves, then it's natural that our relationships with others will evolve, will change, and sometimes, unfortunately, they will break. And then it's about knowing that, well, yeah, that's okay.
Yes,
and then having, as you said, the bravery to then move on from that. Be it because it was you hadn't learned the lesson yet, or because actually, yeah, I've learned this lesson, I'm done now. And being able to then step up and be brave to go on to a next phase of your own relationship with yourself and then the world.
Yeah. Interestingly, the three of us represent all the three different areas. So there's Sue, who's been married, you who've never been married, and me, who's still married, having been in a relationship with the same person since I was 14 years of age. So I've had to do my growing up within the relationship, as has he, which, they say you have to work at marriage. And sometimes it has been a lot of hard work. But you the more you learn about yourself, and we have both made the effort to go on many, many, many personal development courses and reading everything we need to know, and connecting up with the people across the world in order to make our relationship better. And in doing so, you don't make the relationship better, you make yourselves better, which makes you a better human being to be the right person for the other one, which is why we're still together. Because potentially, if we hadn't been the right person, it would have moved apart.
I mentioned to Dave, my husband, that if we had met any earlier, because we first met when we were both 70, but had we met, because sometimes we think, oh, why did we have to wait so long to meet? But the reality is that we probably would have walked past each other.
Yeah, that's interesting.
My partner of now, I've been with him for 10 years or so, and he often says, why didn't we meet? And it's like, love, we weren't ready yet. We weren't the people we are now.
Yeah,
we met in the right season for us.
I'm very much like that. I wish I could have met my husband when I was like my late 20s, early 30s, just to kind of experience being independent, being on my own, because I've never really been on my own. So, but having said that, it's like, well, I still would have married you. It still would have been, because we were kind of, it was meant to be from our perspective looking back now. So, it's all in good time, and it's all in the universe's time that it pulls it together. So I want to focus now a little bit on people that are struggling, the sort of people you come across. What are the sort of big wins have you had since you two have been together? What sort of stories have you got for us that we can share?
Okay, you go first.
Well, I'm just trying to think about what's the best story. We've got loads of stories.
I'll bet.
I mean, yes, our partnership is still very new, so we've not served at a very deep level many people, but we've definitely, even in our free discussions, because we started calling it a webinar, and it was like, no, actually we're just having conversation with people, we're talking to people, and people are sharing, and then and they're going, oh, and they're having breakthroughs right then and there. The little ones. And then of course we've done sort of half-day workshops, we do a 6-week course, and in those we've had some fantastic what was it that about her husband, she feels better now and so does my husband, what was that one, Sue? I can't remember the exact words.
Oh, I don't remember either. Oh yes, she said he is much happier now that she has developed firmer boundaries, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And she asked very clearly, she changed her language in asking for what she needed, because she was always tentative and not sure she deserved it. And but after us, she started asking very clearly what she needed. And as a result, A, she's getting it, and B, she told us he's much happier himself.
And if I remember right, she's also asking him, what do you need?
That's
and now he's starting to ask her, well, what do you need?
Oh.
And so because she's taken this step, he's also starting to grow. And I think where you were saying about, Jill, the relationship you've grown together, I think one of the fundamental reasons why a relationship could fall apart is because the one person doesn't ever want to change. Yes, that whole thing, you don't get into a relationship to change anyone, and if somebody does, which is what the old stereotype is, oh, I'll marry him now, make him better later. It never works, does not work at all. But if the other person who is in that relationship with you is not willing to grow, I know, looking back on the relationship records that I've had in my past, the reason why I've been with my current chap for 10 years is all because he looked at what I was doing and went, oh, I need to step up as well, don't I?
Oh, brilliant.
In the back of his mind. And we've had discussions about, I feel like you're leaving me. It's like, I never want to leave you behind, love. You're amazing. I love you to bits. How can we help you? And then working on him. Oh, I'm getting all emotional thinking about it. And sort of giving him point. And the other day I was feeling down because I'm going through some really crap stuff with my mum at the moment. And we were in bed on a Sunday morning, because that's what we do. We have date night. And we sort of have conversations, and he asked me some coaching questions. I said, I've taught you far too well, haven't I?
It's lovely. Well, as women of a certain age, I think you say about going through some stuff with your mum, but I think going through stuff hormonally and through the menopause is enough to break most relationships up. So it's knowing who you are yourself will be a big warning sign to go, this isn't normal. The way I am feeling, my emotions are not normal. And if you don't know who you are, you're not going to be able to come to terms with that and realize that you need some support and some help. So I hear many people, like, I sort of turned a certain birthday and then I thought I was going crazy mentally. So you must have women, I'm assuming you're attracting, sort of ladies in their 40s and 50s as opposed to ladies in their 20s and 30s. It's a huge assumption. I don't know, I could be wrong. But are you coming across women that you kind of go, there's actually more to this than a bit of self-improvement required? Maybe there's more to it than that.
Yeah. In our 6-week course especially, we really dig deep. So we're not the easiest people. We challenge and we dig, and but the insights are huge.
But yeah, one of the things, you don't engage with a coach to be your friend. You engage with a coach to challenge you. The job of a coach is to ask people good questions that bring in wonderful insights that allow people to make different choices. That's the only job of a coach. We don't have any of the answers. We have all of the questions.
Yes. And
when you're a mentor, that's where we've been here, we've seen it. Here is what I would do if I were you. But of course, it's your choice how you deal with this. And definitely, I know, as I say, I'm feeling, I was given a medical menopause when I was 32.
Oh gosh.
And I went batshit crazy because
Yeah.
it was overnight, brakes on. And I'm starting to feel those ghosts again. Although I know now, because I've got one fantastically my blood glucose is stable, my nutrition is on point. So for me, I know it's not, but I find myself crying at weird times. And it's like, okay, I've got no reason to be doing this. Okay, let's just let this happen, because obviously body needs to do it.
Yeah.
But I think if I hadn't have gone through some of the stuff I'd gone through, that first time, but B, also with the resilience work I've done, self-development, being coached myself, I know that I would now be going, what the frilly heck is going on? And I would be lost. And we see that with definitely some of the ladies that come towards us. They are at the age where effectively you're having the death of menopause. And it's into that whole rebirth and new life. And it's learning yourself again and learning the relationship with yourself. Definitely, because everything changes when you hit this time of your life. And so one of the great things about having relationship tools and having the holistic view of health that I think we have, because it's not just about physical, it's about emotional, spiritual, mental, the works. When you start looking after your relationships, you're looking after that holistic health. And that helps with everything.
Yeah, for sure. It's like this knock-on effect, isn't it? You can't just treat your mental health. You can't just treat your physical health. You can't just treat your emotional health. It all has this knock-on. And I think what I love about what you two do is you look at the person in front of you, and it isn't just like, oh, so you have raging temper tantrums, then probably this or that. It goes back to unpeeling the layers of an onion to see where it originated and what the causes of it and where it's come from. So sometimes symptoms of things like a menopause also have a foundation and a grounding in stuff that happened when you were 4 or 5. When you can solve that and you can see that and you unpack that, then all of a sudden the tension and the pressure that you're putting yourself under whilst your hormones are going all over the place, it just eases it slightly, and you can begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And when you're working on yourself, I think it's such a scary journey.
Yes, it takes courage and commitment.
Yeah.
And lots of people don't want to do it because you don't want to face that pain. It's hard.
So, Sue, how would you deal with somebody? So a friend of mine has had a lot of problems in her past when she was younger, and relationship problems with her parents, with her siblings. She's had a very, very tough life. And now that has manifested, and she knows all of this, into eating problems. So she kind of gorges herself and eats way too much when she knows she shouldn't. And we kind of, her logic goes, I know why this is happening, but I can't stop myself. Is that something that how do you, the two of you together, do one of you go, right, well, this is what you do for the food, and the other one go, well, this is what you do? How do you two work together to sort that kind of thing out?
That's your thing, definitely.
It is my thing, but it's also very much ebb and flow. I think as we work together, because yes, for me, what you've just said is, yes, she's got some stuff that needs resolving because she's I have a saying, are you nourishing your body, or you just amusing your tongue? And a lot of the reasons we emotionally eat, we eat foods that amuse our tongue, amuse our face. They aren't nutritionally valid. They give us a dopamine hit, which we could get via one of many, many things: food, sex, alcohol, drugs, gambling. It's all lights up that nucleus accumbens in the brain and goes and gives us a wonderful dopamine hit. And one of the problems with food and food addiction specifically, because I'll put my hand up and say I am a food addict.
Me too.
You can't not eat.
No.
You cannot drink. You cannot take drugs. You cannot have sex, although that would be very sad. You cannot gamble, but you can't never not consume things. You have to eat to stay alive. And so it's this, of all the addictions, it's a very intricate dance around promoting real food rather than the amusement for your tongue, that nutritionally empty thing that lights up your dopamine. And so where Sue's also coming at this with dealing with why are you wanting to light up your dopamine centers? And I definitely do. I do, and this is where we have the intersection. I dive deep into that, and she goes even deeper than me. So we definitely bring that. What is going on here? One of my other mentors, I love this. The presenting problem is never the real problem.
No.
And sometimes the presenting problem will have another presenting problem underneath it, and that will have another one. And you have to keep going, as you said, peel the onion. You have to keep going until you find. And that stuff you can't do on your own. You just can't, because humans, we just won't look at that stuff. We won't dig that deep. Not without someone going, here, I've got you.
Yeah.
And when you're in it, you don't see it. Because we do. So both Nikola and I, we have people that we turn to when the shit hits the fan, emotionally speaking. Yes. Because I'm too close to it. I come from the relationship issues where if you are in denial about the quality of my relationship with my first husband, then it had to go somewhere, and it went into my body. And so there was the comfort eating, ballooning, and then becoming bulimic. Gosh. To the point where it could have proven fatal. And unusually for a bulimic, I asked for help. Because people, they don't. So somebody must love me. Maybe they had plans for me.
Yes, indeed.
But yeah, and so the quality of the relationship affects the state of your health, because emotionally you are anxious, you eat, you overweight, you have strokes, you develop diabetes, and all kinds of things, because the relationship, the critical environment you lose your confidence and so on, and it is a roller coaster southwards. And I think your perspective, Nikola, is that with good health, our relationships are transformed. And it's also true.
Yeah. And it's that whole humans want to soothe ourselves. It's why we go looking for hallucinogenic mushrooms, why we learn how to brew beer, why we look for things that take us out of our box for a bit, because we don't want to look at this stuff. So we self-medicate with substance or activity of choice. And until you start looking at what is driving that behavior, that thing that you picked up when you were 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, which for better or worse, we carry for them the rest of our lives. And it's only when you hit about our age, Jill, as you start, hang on, I've done this before. I've done this before. And it's about, I think I started the proper self-development journey around 45-ish. So about sort of 6 years ago now. But I was sort of looking around it from about my 30s, but not really doing anything with it. I bought a book on NLP when I was about 28, and it sat on my bookshelf until I was about 47. And that's when I read it. I wasn't ready yet.
Yeah.
I knew I needed something. And it wasn't until I seriously, if we talk about my story, I developed the ability to want to help people, because I knew I wanted to, and I've been helping people since forever. I used to work in IT. It was all about serving people. But when I first made my low carbon UK website, I was 29, and that was all. I'm not finding any UK centric information. How can I help people to find it? With no thought of anything but let's be some information. And then when I got to, as I say, 45, 46, and I could really help people here. And I said to my best mate, oh yeah, I'm training to be a coach. And she said, oh, what's one of them? And I said, well, it's getting people to answer their own questions. And she said, oh, you're training to be you then. Because I've always been really good at doing that. So it's that whole, it's that, it's time to step up. And one of my mentors calls it it's part of the hero's journey, is once the hero has their own resolution, the next step for the hero is to start getting other people their resolutions. Start being the guide in the middle of someone else's hero's journey. And I definitely think that's where I'm developing, and where Sue's obviously, we're both in the guide phase of our lives.
Yes, yeah. And I think sometimes when you think about somebody else more than you think about yourself, your problems don't seem so big anyway.
You can use it as avoidance. That's when that starts to become unhealthy.
Right. Yeah. What I love when you do the work on yourself, like I say, although it is a scary thing, you don't necessarily go in going, I have this problem, I want it solved. You can just go in as let's see what this is all about, and just try it out. And I've done a few courses like that, going, I don't know if I need to, but I'll go anyway. And I kind of sat there like this, going, yeah, I know this. Yeah, I know this. Oh, hang on. Actually, blimey. And before you know it, it's like, it's definitely relevant to me. And I didn't realize that. And I hadn't seen that. And that's what I do. Oh my goodness. And because of that, and then all of a sudden, that's like mic drop moment when you go, oh shit, and then everything that was on firm ground is no longer on firm ground. And you can then have to revisit other stuff and realize that, oh yeah, because that happened. And because I did that, and then you can look forward and go, oh, I can't make that, I can't be there again, I can't do that again. So all of the things that have been keeping you safe and tight and secure and unhealthy because you're under stress and you're under pressure and you're under these boundaries, that it's the only thing that's stopping you from keeling over. All of a sudden, those things kind of fall away, and it's like, okay, but I'm still standing up. And it's life goes on, and it's not that bad. And then when you realize this freedom that you have because you've nailed just one thing in your life, just one, there's many more to go, but one of them has just hit you in the face because you were brave enough to go, I'll do some personal development. Then you realize that there's this whole, as you say, this whole other journey to go. And I get that feeling with both of you ladies, that you've gone down, you've done the journey and you've come out the other end, and it's still ongoing, but at the same time you want to share as much as you possibly can with these women that are still
absolutely
tight.
I mean, for me, I can't stop. I mean, for example, somebody will come, they will do 6 months, a year, and then they're gone. And it's fine, because I want people to not need me anymore. But I can't stop. I can't stop. I have to continue. And I tell people, until the day you die.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think we've both got that, quote, bad business model, in the fact that we want to empower people so that they can do whatever they need to do and they don't need us anymore. They want to work with us if they choose to, but they don't need us.
No. And we want them to have the tools so that they can carry on without us and embark on their own journey and hopefully don't stop.
Yeah. But of course, when they hit that thing that they know they can't deal with themselves,
we're here.
We're here and we want to work with you, and they want to work with us. And it's all very, very empowering. It's all about choice. I think that was one of the bedrocks of where Sue and I first started talking. It was, because I come at it from the diet industry. It actively removes choice from people. It gives us a food plan. It treats us like victims, and it tells us we are at fault when their diet fails us, because their diet is designed to fail because they need you as a repeat customer.
Yes.
So I'm all about that choice, empowering people to be able to make optimal choices. And Sue, again, it's exactly the same angle, but she is here to allow people to make optimal choices in their relationships. And it was like, yes, breath of fresh air. Let's get this on. Let's do stuff.
It's like a little jigsaw piece, isn't it? Fits together.
When I met Nikola, and she gave me her worldview, that it wasn't us who fail at diets, for example, but that the world conspires, that I've become aware. I started noticing things. And that course that we did, I was walking past a pizzeria, and there was a board outside, and it said, are you having a bad day? Come in and have a drink.
Oh.
Are you having a good day? Come in and celebrate. And so food, drink, food. If I was in a vulnerable space,
Yes.
I've been there
Yeah.
instead of walking past.
Yeah. And you've literally just given me a revelation that I know I'm going to have to go and blog about. We're using food to mask our relationship issues as much as we use our relationships to go and eat food. And it's very symbiotic. So it's even better a reason for us to work together, because it is very, very symbiotic in the way that humans as a tribe, as a species, we've used food as a power play. We use it as currency. We use it to bond. It's a big thing. It's part of our relationships.
Have you ever watched a film, she says, where boy meets girl? Every time, without fail, the alcohol is involved. Every time, part of the story where they meet, a flirting, mating ritual involves drink.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
I think especially in the Western world, not so much, of course, where you've got alcohol abstinence, but it's that whole, how do we socialize? We go to the pub. How do we socialize? We go to a restaurant, but mostly it is, you're right, Sue, every rom-com that you watch is boy meets girl in a bar, pretty much. Or there is a bar involved at some point along the journey.
That's why Cheers was so popular.
Oh, I love Cheers. It's fantastic. But
I have to agree, because in my case, it's food. This is what brought Dave and me together. Come lunch with me was a new endeavor.
Yes.
At the time. And he phoned. And we still continue. So food is a joy.
Yeah. Well, this is it. We don't want to demonize it, do we? And even alcohol has its place, although, you know, but going back to what you were saying earlier, it's the choices, it's making empowered choices, it's choices that are good for you, that feed your soul as well as your body.
Yeah. And it's also knowing that you are not a bad person if you happen to make what I call a non-optimal choice.
Yes.
It's just a thing you did. It's not right or wrong. It's just the choice you made. And one of the ways we get hooked up as society is we attach the oh, you've been so naughty.
Yes.
To what I call a non-optimal food choice. Oh my God, I was so bad at the weekend.
Yes.
No, you weren't. You just ate some food that wasn't great for your body. Or you drank too much wine, or you did too much, whatever. You made a choice that detrimented yourself rather than bolstered yourself. But
what
it's
did you
not right or
call
wrong.
it again, Nicola? Say, what was your version of it?
So I call that sort of thing a non-optimal choice.
Non-optimal choice. Okay.
Language is very important.
Yeah.
If I call it, as I still do, a poor choice, it's judgmental.
Yeah. Whereas non-optimal.
Now I'm more aware than I used to be before Nikola.
Yeah.
And that goes back to the relationship we have with ourselves, isn't it? Because we've got, I think you posted on LinkedIn, was it today or yesterday, about the gremlins, with a beautiful picture of a gremlin. I thought, wow, yeah, if that's going on in my head, that's it's so true. And that gremlin is constantly trying to help us to make poor choices, isn't it?
Well, its job is to keep you safe. Its job is not to keep you happy or healthy. Its job is to keep you alive. And if by making a choice that soothes you or keeps you where you are, where it knows you are, and therefore you are alive right now, the louder the gremlin yells at us, normally the more positive the choice that we will be making will be. And I love the way Steve Pressman refers to it, as he calls it, resistance. And he says you can use it as a negative compass. The louder it shouts, the more you know that this has value.
Okay.
He's talking about it from the perspective of screenwriting.
Okay.
But it's that same mechanism of, it will lie to you, it will cajole, it will tell you anything it can just to keep you from not doing things it doesn't know what the outcome will be.
So here's a question. Those crazy, weird, bonkers people that do extreme sports, have they had their gremlin cut out and amputated? Because I don't understand why they do. Like climbing mountains without any ropes or anything. You know, they just go up a mountain and.
I think it's an adrenaline addiction.
From a physiological perspective, massive dopamine hit, adrenaline, the whole thing. It's that whole, one of the reasons why a lot of rock stars and pop stars become alcoholics or drug addicted, because they're trying to replicate the high they get by performing. Because it's all about chemistry. Our wonderful, amazing body produces 1.3 million chemicals. Everything is chemical. When you're happy, you produce a set of chemicals. When you're sad, you produce a set of chemicals. And nobody makes you have them. Your body responds to the stimulus it receives, which is a really hard message to receive. So when people are jumping out of airplanes, it's because it makes them feel alive, because their body chemistry's gone, but then, of course, they have to go to the ground. And then they basically, the pendulum swings the other way, and they are, oh my God, no, blah, blah. So they wanted to go and get high again. And in certain cases of jumping out of airplanes, literally high.
Yes. Yeah. I have heard sorry, I was just going to say, I have heard the people that do it for charity and sort of push themselves. They don't really want to do it, but they decide to do it. And everyone goes, was it brilliant? And they go, yeah. And then the second time they do it, because they had such a good time, the adrenaline isn't running quite so high because they've been there, they've done that. It should be okay. So the second time, fear really kicks in. They really don't like it, and they're not going to do it a third time. It's like the gremlin really gets a hold of them then and goes, come on, what are you doing? Are you mad? So a friend of mine that did the abseiling for a charity the first time, she came down and she was on such a high. It was amazing. So the following year, it's an annual thing. I'm doing it every year. She came down ashen. Absolutely, exactly the same thing, but totally ashen, and she's never done it again. It's funny how the bodies react in different ways.
Oh yeah. The body is endlessly fascinating. And it
don't listen. That's the problem.
Yeah, we're definitely trained to not listen to what our body is telling us.
So Sue, how do you listen to your body? How do you make that time to, what do you do? Share with us.
I chant. I'm a Buddhist.
Okay.
So my meditating way is part of my daily practice, is to chant. And it grounds me. It connects me with what's really important in my life. So you chant for goals. In my school of Buddhism, you chant for specific outcomes. So to contribute to world peace, which in many ways is what Nikola and I are about, which is to change the world one person at a time, or ideally many people in one go. Then to honor people, respect their lives and our own, to contribute to the world, and for Love Self Plus to be hugely successful, because it means that we are helping lots of people.
Beautiful. I love that. It really is special, and I don't think people realize it in this very, very busy world, that you have to take that time out to go and just have that space and that quiet and that silence. And some people don't do it because they don't like the sound of the silence, because their gremlins get really, really loud. You should have done this. Why didn't you do that? You need to do this, should, ought, must. And it all becomes very shame, guilt, all of those kind of emotions that come in. So they're scared about having that quiet time. What about you, Nikola? How do you sort of still the gremlins?
I am very thankful in the fact mine doesn't have a voice. Mine is all about feelings and hiding. Everybody's sort of, mine definitely just wants me to not do things. And sit on the sofa and watch Netflix. That's where my gremlin is most happy.
Yeah, I think must be related to my one.
but actually listening to this body, it's just taking that moment and going, okay, am I actually hungry here? Is there something else going on? Just that breath. And that's how I do it. It's very, very moment to moment. It's like at the moment my back is yelling at me because I know I'm ill and I'm a bit run down, and it's like, yeah, I know it's cool, I'll go and put some ice on you in a bit, because it's going, I need some ice, please, thank you. But normally in our over medicalized world, it would be pop a couple of painkillers and carry on doing what you were doing before. And with food, it's that whole your body is telling you it's ravenously hungry because you aren't giving it the food that nourishes it in our current paradigm. None of the processed food that we now make in response to guidelines that we were given back in the 80s actually nourishes our body. So they're screaming, please, can I have some real actual food that came from an animal or a tree or a plant or a tuber or whatever? And we're going, no, I must do better. I must not do this. And I only can do that. Again, musts and shoulds and oughts and whatevers. And when we then fail because we were hungry, we then beat ourselves up over it. But rather than actually listening to them, actually, I'm hungry. I'm going to eat. I have 3 tenets that I give to the world. If you are hungry, eat food. If you are not hungry, don't eat or stop eating. Because those 2 things, sometimes we can carry on. There's a whole bunch of emotional reasons. Clean plates in Africa, starving children in Africa. You've got to clean your plate. And make every mouthful as optimal as possible given the circumstances you find yourself in. And that 3rd tenet, you can actually stretch it to make the most optimal decision you can make given the circumstances you find yourself in, which is sort of where we go with Love Self Plus. Is that whole stretching my personal 3rd tenet out to, how can we do that? Making the best decisions you can, the most optimal choices. And just, as I say, for me, it's literally, what are you telling me, body? What do I need right now? And then just that moment of stillness, and something normally pops into your head. We've been taught to ignore what pops into our head, generally speaking. But because the body has no language, it has to come through the filter of the mind. It's that whole, it can only tell you it's hungry, cold, hot, in pain, in pleasure. It has a very limited lexicon of things, emotions, effectively. But it's learning to interpret the body going, I'm tired, I need to sleep. Okay, let's go to bed early then. Rather than, I'll just have a cup of coffee.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, I've learned to listen to my body. There's sometimes when I'm working, and my brain stops. So I stop pushing. I stop, move away, move about. Yeah.
I know, I think we're both very much about reuniting our bodies with our minds and our spirits. Because I personally, I'm not Buddhist, I'm a pagan, but I believe we are divine beings connected to everything through all time and space. We are all divine. And we all serve each other, and we are all in each other's pockets effectively. Quantum theory and all that malarkey. But we were given this wonderful, amazing vehicle, and a really weird bit in here that makes us do really weird, horrible, weird, whatever stuff. This can't lie. It has no language. When you have no language, you cannot tell the person that's carrying you around lies, or the other way around. This thing, wonderful, amazing thing that's created everything that is man-made on the planet, will do nothing but lie to you 24/7, 365. And it's learning the discernment of, what is truth here? How am I reacting?
To recognize it?
Yeah. How am I reacting to this thing that's in front of me? Am I filtering this through my stories, which we all do? Is that actually the truth of what's going on here? And this will always tell you the truth. Your body will always, it's got your back. It's your mate. It will always tell you the truth. And we've been taught that it needs denial and discipline and ignoring. And it's repairing that fractured relationship. Again, relationship brings it right back.
That relationship cannot, unlikely to flourish with another if you haven't got a good understanding and relationship with yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you 2 ladies also bonded over the fact that you have ill health as well, don't you? You're both struggling with things that on the surface people go, well, there's nothing wrong with them, but actually underlying, you've been suffering pain for many, many years. Do you want to just share with us today how you kind of overcome that in order to help so many other people?
It's a bit more complicated, as it would be. When I was in my first marriage, my health was really poor. It was depression, the bulimia, the comfort eating, and severe pains, totally random. After I left my marriage, and over the 10 years that I lived by myself and got to know myself, my health improved beyond recognition. Now that I'm in a very happy relationship, I have none of the conditions associated with people my age.
Mm.
Having said that, I have scoliosis. And so I have some days that can be pretty grim and other days that are very doable. And I find ways of managing that. And I discovered Nordic sticks. So I can go out and about, and it requires some planning. But yeah, I don't allow it to narrow my life. And I also discovered something interesting, which is about the power of refocusing, which means I can actually focus on my pain, or actually I can get involved in something I'm passionate about, and the pain recedes. It's really interesting. So that's where I go. Relationships, helping relationships affect the quality of your health. It's my journey.
Yeah. And I then have the neurological layer on that, because of course geeky girl that does all the stuff. Pain is the product of your brain's interpretation of what your body is telling it.
Right.
The pain is not where you feel the pain is all in your mind, literally. So when you are focusing on other things, you can only hold one thing in your mind at once. We can only ever, it's like this multitasking rubbish that we are given. You can't multitask. You flip-flop between a series of tasks and do everything badly. We are serial taskers, not parallel taskers.
Yeah.
And so you can only hold that I'm in pain thought, or that I'm focusing on something better thought. And yeah, you'll still be receiving the signals, but it's like when you're in a really loud room, and after about 10 minutes, you stop hearing the noise. And it's that same thing with you stop hearing the pain, effectively. And hearing is a really weird metaphor to use.
No, I get it.
But it's that whole, I've also got a back issue. I blew out my L5S1 in 2012. Because I have a slight bendy spine. I have a lovely little S in there, which of course made it a little bit more impacted. I also have polycystic ovaries. So again, where I've come from in the health journey, I have a devil of a time my body trying to ditch its fat, because of course linguistically we don't want to lose weight. Losing weight is not quantified. We want to be getting rid of the things that we don't want, which is our body fat. Right. And I have various challenges around doing that, and that also then doesn't help my back, because if I'm heavier than is optimal for my skeleton, it hurts. And it's that whole being in pain is exhausting. And it takes so much effort to just be normal, whatever is normal anyway. But it's that whole learning, as Sue said, learning to refocus, do other things. Yes, I have days when I take the codidromol, and then I'm spacey as whatever, and I have to not do anything else. And some days it's bigger than I can deal with, or I want to be dealing with. Some days it's like, oh, sod this, I know I don't want to be dealing this. But those days are not normal days. And that's where we get into our Western medical culture of, here is a symptom, pop a pill, take it away. Rather than, what is causing that problem? Let us sort that out. And that's very much where and it's the same with relationship. The symptom of a bad relationship is where you row all the time, or you don't talk to each other, or you're not having sex with each other, or you're not doing things, or you are doing other things. But that's not the problem. That's just the symptoms of what the problem is. And getting to the root cause will resolve the situation, whichever way it then resolves out, be it you get happier together, or you decide that that's that. And it's that whole, we have that attitude of, or just treat the symptoms, medicate around it in whatever form of, is it drug medication, is it prescription drug medication, is it food medication, is it drink medication, is it telemedication? Again, my ego. Netflix is one of my biggest drugs ever. And it's that whole, until you deal with the root cause, coming right back to what we said about 20 minutes ago, until you deal with your root cause. And I know for me, I go to the osteopath, because that helps me to open up my spine, take the pressure off, and it removes some of the pain. I make sure that I am supported when I sleep. I stick a pillow between my knees. I make sure that I'm not sitting inappropriately, and I'm not hunched over at my desk all, ow, that hurt.
Yeah.
And I make sure that I'm sitting up properly. I do the things I need to do to manage my issues, but they're still there. And yeah, it's just you play the hand you're dealt with.
It's a bit of a metaphor, really, isn't it? What we were saying about all these things, the more you know who you are as a person, how you deal with life emotionally, physically, spiritually, the easier, not so much the easier it is. I think stuff will still come and hit us sideways, but the more you can deal with things, and the more you can adapt to things, and the more you can understand how to take away the pain, or physical or otherwise. And some people don't want to go and explore because they don't want to go through the pain barrier of unpacking it. But at the same time, if they consider the end goal of, it might be that your marriage ends, but you'll both be happier for it. Or it might be that your marriage, it becomes more secure and you've got a whole new relationship to encourage and enjoy. So I think if anybody's interested in talking to you ladies, I think it would be a really good idea to just be open-minded and be curious and be inquisitive about what might come from it. And even if you sit there, as I have done in the past when I've gone on personal development stuff and gone, I'm okay, I'm a bit curious, I want to see what's going on, there will always be something that you didn't know that can support you and help you in that. If somebody's listening to this and maybe they've got a problem that has been ongoing, and they've said, well, I know it, but it's not that bad, or maybe I've been ignoring it, it's fine, what would you say to them to come and have a conversation with you?
If you don't deal with it, it'll just get worse. And so you're not alone. We're here to support you. We've got your back. That's what I would say to them.
Yeah, that's beautiful, Sue, because so many people feel isolated and alone.
Yes, they do.
What is it? Is it Occam's razor or someone else's, where either no one has the problem or more than one person will have the problem? No one has ever just done this one thing by themselves. No one ever. So coming and finding assistance and just, as you say, chilling out and seeing, well, what's this all about? And I think we're both on Facebook, we're both on LinkedIn. We haven't actually got ourselves a proper Love Self Plus, this is how you contact us mechanism yet. We're still so new, but we do have a Facebook page, we do have a LinkedIn company, and those are probably the best ways of reaching out to us as a partnership, essentially. But both of our inboxes are wide open. And of course, if you wanted to find out more about us, we run webinars, although we now call them discussions because that's what they're turned into. We run those pretty much every other week, first and third of the month. And of course, as we said, we run half-day workshops as well to dive deep, because of course, when you've got sort of half an hour and questions with somebody, you're not going to get a big deep. Whereas when we've got half a day, we really, really get into it. And again, all the details for that are on our Facebook and on our LinkedIn pages.
So if somebody was nervous about coming to one of your conversations because other people were going to be there and they don't want to share their stuff, is it possible for them just to kind of sit in and listen to what's being said without actually having to divulge anything in front of strangers?
Yeah.
I think one of the empowering things about when you hear other people share, you are more open to sharing yourself. But there's never an expectation of anyone doing anything, really. We made a choice, what was it, 4 weeks ago? Not that long ago. Show up, it's live. It's just like life. You don't get a second go. We were giving people replays. And it's like, actually, this is getting really wonderfully sensitive and we're really starting to dig into stuff. We can't share this with people that weren't there. It wouldn't be right. So we made the choice to then not, and we'd been asked when we first started, is there going to be a replay? Is there going to be a replay? Oh, yes, okay, there'll be a replay. And we started sending that, and it's like, no, actually, that's not congruent. It doesn't feel right to share it. So you have to turn up, be live. But if you choose to say anything while you're there or not, if you can even just sit there with your camera off, it's fine. We're not going to force you. Again,
the great thing about being there is that you realize you're not the only one.
Yeah, that's lovely.
That's the big deal.
And I would imagine there are people that turn up that have got a tiny little problem and a massive, huge problem, and they don't know where to go with it. So they're just kind of being in that first step of the journey to, you know, I want to help myself, I want to find a way forward. And just to have that sitting there knowing that there are, you know, 6, 8 dozen people also on that journey, as you say, it's like, oh, it's not just me then. And the fact that you don't even have to put your camera on if you don't want to, you don't have to say anything if you don't want to, but if you're brave enough to, you know, show your face, other people are going to go, oh look, she's the same as me, we've both got a problem, hers might be massive or hers might be tiny, but, you know, ultimately you're with people trying to help themselves out of a situation, and what you might contribute can actually help somebody else as well. So it's really nice if you can share some of your stuff.
I would always say, even if I go to something selfie development, whatever, I'll always fully engage with that. I'll assume that everybody is there for my best interest and their best interest, and I'll just be open. And I've got more from doing that than just sitting in the corner and listening, which is my natural inclination.
But for those that aren't so inclined, it's not a problem if you do want to be a bit shy.
Not at all. But you always get more. The more you put in, the more you get out, literally. Always with everything in life.
Awesome. Ladies, I thank you so much for sharing today. It's been a fascinating conversation because I've kind of been down that road so far, and I realised that it's an ever never-ending journey, isn't it, that we carry on. So it's been a delight that you two have found each other. It's wonderful that you've got these conversations going on, so anyone can access that and get some, you know, even this tiny bit of support, or they can get in touch with you and have more ongoing, you know, one-to-one support as well. It's good to know you're out there. And Sue, I'm so grateful that you're part of our community at Collaboration Global, because I know there are people out there that you've helped within the community, and I know that you're always accessible for those kind of conversations when life just gets a little bit too much. There's somebody else that we can go and talk to, and hopefully, Nikola, one day we'll get you in the community as well.
I'm sure when my life stops being a dumpster fire, I'm all over it. But right now, my life is, oh my God, I can't take more on. So
I always say, when the time is right, it will happen naturally, and that's absolutely fine. So Nikola sometimes comes when she has a moment, sometimes comes to the meetings. You are welcome to come to these as well. Sue is generally there too. They are the last Tuesday of the month. And you can find us by going to collaborationglobal.org. You can find me, Jill Tiny, on LinkedIn, and I'm often telling people about these wonderful meetings. Or you can go to Eventbrite and search Collaboration Global, and you'll find us on there as well. Come to the meeting, doesn't cost anything to meet these amazing people and learn about each other, learn about the planet, learn about how we can support each other, care for each other, love each other, and basically make our world a better place. Thank you for coming, ladies. It's been an absolute joy. Thank you.
Thank you
for having us.
You're very welcome.
Bye.